The horrifying true story behind Jeepers Creepers revealed. You know that creepy, relentless truck from Jeepers Creepers? And that chilling figure dumping something wrapped in a bloody sheet? What if I told you the scariest moments from that movie's opening weren't just Hollywood make-believe, but a disturbing echo of a real-life crime? Get ready, because the truth is often way more unsettling than fiction. The 2001 horror flick Jeepers Creepers burned a pretty specific image into our collective minds. A brother and sister on a lonely country road, getting absolutely terrorized by a beat-up old truck and its even more terrifying driver. That opening scene? It's legendary for its nail-biting suspense and pure dread. But what a lot of folks don't realize is that this cinematic horror has a dark, real-world twin. We're about to explore the 1990 case of Dennis Depew, a man whose brutal actions mirror the film's most disturbing scenes with chilling accuracy. This isn't just about a scary movie. It's about the horrifying true story that fueled its terror. Section 1. The Cinematic Terror, Jeepers Creepers opening. So, let's quickly picture that infamous opening from Jeepers Creepers. Siblings Trish and Derry are driving home from college, cruising through some pretty empty rural countryside. Their casual chat is suddenly destroyed by an old rusted truck that starts tailgating them like crazy, horn blaring, driver hidden from view. The whole thing is deeply unsettling, a hint of something much worse to come. A little later, they see that same truck parked next to an abandoned church. From a distance, they watch this large figure, dressed in a duster coat and hat, slide what looks like a body wrapped in a bloody sheet down a big pipe sticking out of the ground. Then the figure spots them, and a whole new level of terror kicks in. After he drives off, Derry, ignoring Trish's frantic pleas, insists they have to check it out. That decision leads them to a horrific discovery under the church. Going back, looking closer. That's a key moment, driven by a mix of disbelief and some grim sense of needing to know. All the classic elements are there: the isolated road, the menacing old-school vehicle, the suspicious dumping of something awful, and that terrifying moment of realizing they've been seen by someone doing the unspeakable. It's a sequence built to hit those primal fears, the unknown, being helpless against pure, random malice. The film then, of course, dives into supernatural horror with The Creeper, an ancient demon. But that raw human fear from the setup, that part is planted firmly in a grim reality. Section 2. The Real-Life Nightmare, The Thorntons' Encounter. Now, let's jump back to Easter Sunday, April 15, 1990, in Coldwater, Michigan. A local couple, Ray and Marie Thornton, were just out for a drive, enjoying a quiet day. As they headed down a rural road, their peaceful afternoon was about to get very dark. A van blew past them aggressively, a lot like what happened to the siblings in the movie. Shortly after, they saw that same van parked near an abandoned schoolhouse. What they saw next was seriously disturbing. They spotted a man, who they'd later learn was Dennis Depew, near the van, messing with what looked like a large, blood-soaked sheet. It seemed like he was trying to get rid of it, or whatever it contained, near the rundown building. The Thorntons, freaked out and alarmed, drove on. But their nightmare wasn't over. Looking in their rearview mirror, they saw Depew's van speeding up right behind them. He started tailgating them hard, sticking to their bumper for several miles. This terrifying chase, that feeling of being hunted on an open road by someone you just saw doing something incredibly shady, is the chilling real-life parallel to Trish and Derry's first run-in with the Creepers truck. The Thorntons, shaken but determined, managed to get away and immediately told the Michigan State Police what they'd witnessed. They even mentioned seeing blood inside Depew's van. Their eyewitness account, their bravery in coming forward, became a vital piece in a horrifying puzzle that was just starting to come together. Interestingly, the Thorntons had been playing a license plate game to pass the time, with Marie saying, "Geez, he must be in a hurry," when Depew's van first sped past. That little detail even made its way into the film, as Trish and Derry play a similar game. Section 3. Unmasking the Man, Dennis Depew. The man the Thorntons saw was Dennis Depew, a 46-year-old property assessor. But behind closed doors, his life was anything but ordinary. His marriage to Marilyn Depew had recently ended in a bitter divorce, finalized in December 1989. Friends and family said Depew was controlling and abusive. Marilyn had actually filed for divorce because he tried to dominate every single part of her life. Even after the divorce, Depew's creepy behavior didn't stop. Marilyn once came home to find him just sitting in her living room, even though she'd changed all the locks. His co-workers also noticed disturbing shifts in his behavior, with one remembering Dennis talking about suicide and murder. The events leading up to that terrible Easter Sunday in 1990 were tragic. Depew showed up at Marilyn's home, supposedly to pick up their kids for a court-ordered visit. An argument blew up, and fast. Right in front of their terrified children, Depew attacked Marilyn, pushing her down a flight of stairs and beating her. He then told the children he was taking Marilyn to the hospital. That was a lie. Instead of getting her medical help, Dennis Depew drove his injured ex-wife to a remote spot and shot her in the back of the head while she was in his van. What Ray and Marie Thornton saw at the abandoned schoolhouse was Dennis Depew in the immediate aftermath of this brutal murder, trying to hide the evidence, specifically that bloody sheet, and, likely, making his first attempts to get rid of Marilyn's body. Her body was found the next day by a road worker, dumped alongside a road, about halfway between the schoolhouse and her home. The scene at the schoolhouse, with the blood-soaked sheet and tire tracks matching Depew's van, quickly pointed investigators straight at him. Section 4. The Hunt in the End, Depew's manhunt and death. After murdering Marilyn and that chilling run-in with the Thorntons, Dennis Depew just vanished, becoming a fugitive. He actually managed to dodge the police for almost a year. During this time, he wasn't completely silent. He sent a bunch of disturbing, rambling letters to friends, family, and former co-workers. In these letters, he tried to justify what he'd done, blaming Marilyn and others, painting himself as a victim who'd lost everything. One really chilling part read, "Marilyn had many opportunities to treat me fairly during this divorce, and she chose to string it out, trick me, lie to me. When you lose your wife, children, and home, there's not much left. I was too old to start over." The manhunt for Dennis Depew hit the national spotlight when his case was featured on the popular TV show Unsolved Mysteries in March 1991. The episode detailed the crime and even had reenactments of the Thorntons' terrifying experience, including the van and the chase. This broadcast turned out to be Depew's downfall. Living under a fake name, supposedly Hank Queen, in Dallas, Texas, Depew was recognized. Some stories say his then-girlfriend's family saw the Unsolved Mysteries episode and thought, "Hey, that looks like him," and called the cops. Other sources suggest sharp neighbors recognized his van from the show. Whatever the exact tip, the walls were closing in. When Depew figured out he'd been made, probably after seeing the program himself, he took off. This sparked a high-speed chase that started in Louisiana and crossed into Mississippi, involving state troopers and sheriff's deputies from multiple areas. Depew, driving the same 1984 Chevrolet van he'd used in the murder, actually smashed through police barricades and even fired his .357 Magnum at officers during the chase. Police finally managed to shoot out his tires. Cornered, with nowhere to go, Dennis Depew ended his own life with a self-inflicted gunshot to the head, inside the very same van where he had murdered Marilyn. He died in March 1991, bringing a violent close to his spree of terror. Section 5. Echoes of Reality, Direct Comparisons. The similarities between what Dennis Depew really did, especially what the Thorntons saw and what was later shown on Unsolved Mysteries, and the opening of Jeepers Creepers, are just undeniable and pretty darn unsettling. First, the setting, a lonely, rural road. Both the Thorntons' drive and Trish and Derry's trip start on one of these quiet stretches of highway, a place where being isolated can quickly mean being vulnerable. The vehicle, Depew's 1984 Chevrolet van, which he used to move Marilyn's body and then to scare the Thorntons, becomes the Creepers' distinct, rusty, and terrifying truck in the movie. Both vehicles aren't just ways to get around, they're tools of terror, aggressively tailgating and chasing the people who saw too much. The horrifying discovery. The Thorntons saw Depew with a bloody sheet, trying to ditch evidence behind an abandoned schoolhouse. In Jeepers Creepers, Trish and Derry see the creeper dumping what look like bodies wrapped in bloody sheets down a pipe behind an abandoned church. Swapping a schoolhouse for a church is a small movie change, but the main action is strikingly similar. The pursuit. After seeing Depew's suspicious actions, the Thorntons were aggressively tailed by his van for several miles. This is a dead ringer for that terrifying chase in the film where the creeper's truck relentlessly hunts the siblings after they spot him at the church. The decision to investigate. While not something Depew himself did, the film shows Derry insisting on going back to the church to see what was up. This kind of mirrors the curiosity and sense of civic duty that probably pushed the Thorntons to pay attention to what Depew was doing and report it, even if they didn't physically go back to the scene like the movie characters. Even that license plate game the siblings play in the movie, with the tagline, "Fear takes a road trip," is thought by many to be a direct nod to the Thorntons' real experience, since they were also playing a license plate game when Depew first zoomed past them. Now, Victor Salva, the writer and director of Jeepers Creepers, has never officially said the Dennis Depew case was the specific inspiration, but he has admitted the film's opening was based on a true story. The reenactment of the Thorntons' encounter on Unsolved Mysteries is so visually and story-wise similar to the film's opening that the connection seems pretty much undeniable if you've seen both. That Unsolved Mysteries episode aired in 1991, a full decade before Jeepers Creepers came out in 2001, giving plenty of time for the true story to marinate and spark an idea. Section 6. From Fact to Fiction, the Supernatural Divergence. So, while the opening of Jeepers Creepers borrows heavily from the chilling reality of the Dennis Depew case, it's really important to get where the true story stops and the movie magic begins. Dennis Depew, for all his awful actions, was a human, a guy who committed a horrific act of domestic violence and murder. The film, though, takes a hard turn into the supernatural. The bad guy, the creeper, is revealed to be this ancient winged demon, a nearly indestructible monster that pops up every 23rd spring for 23 days to chow down on human body parts, which it then uses to rebuild itself. This creature looks grotesque, definitely not human, has supernatural strength, can regrow limbs, and even has a lair filled with the preserved bodies of its victims, all stitched together in a gruesome display. This whole mythology, the 23-year cycle, the organ harvesting, the demon stuff, the centuries of killing, that's all pure horror fiction. There was no supernatural monster involved in Marilyn Depew's tragic death. Her murder was the awful result of human rage, control, and violence. Dennis Depew was a fugitive murderer, not some creature from folklore. He got caught because of good police work and that Unsolved Mysteries broadcast, not because of some supernatural weakness. The film uses the terrifyingly real scenario of the Depew case as a launchpad, a relatable and grounded horror, before throwing the audience into a world of ancient demons and supernatural scares. The power of the film's opening is exactly in how real that fear feels, a fear rooted in something that actually happened. It makes the later jump into the fantastical even more jarring. It's a classic bait and switch. Suck you in with a recognizable, believable terror, then hit you with the unimaginable. The story of Dennis Depew is a pretty stark reminder that sometimes the most disturbing horrors aren't the ones dreamed up by Hollywood writers, but the ones that happen in the real world. The fear and desperation Ray and Marie Thornton felt on that Michigan road in 1990 were terrifyingly real, and their awful encounter basically gave the DNA to one of modern horror's most unforgettable opening scenes. While Jeepers Creepers takes that core of truth and spins it into a supernatural story, the echoes of Dennis Depew's crime, the lonely road, the sinister van, the hidden body, the terrifying chase, they stick with you long after the movie ends. It's a testament to how reality can sometimes be the scariest thing of all. The true horror of the Dennis Depew case isn't about monsters or demons. It's about the tragic and very human capacity for violence. So, what do you think about this chilling link between a true crime and a hit horror film? Did you know the story of Dennis Depew before this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this look into the dark realities behind horror fascinating, be sure to give this a like, subscribe for more deep dives into unsettling truths, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the horrifying and the unexplained.